From Boston, this is WEBJ News.
Welcome to Inside the Banned Books Debate, a special edition of WEBJ News focusing on book censorship, challenges, and bans across America. I'm Shelby O'Brien. Roman philosopher Marcus Tullius Cicero once said, "A room without books is like a body without a soul." Books are some of the necessary first tools that society has to educate themselves. Think back to when you were younger. Did you have a favorite bedtime story, or maybe even a protagonist in a book that was your idol? The point is that books are there throughout all stages of a person's life. However, recent debates have sparked concern over the availability of various books in libraries and classrooms. This map here shows areas across the country where attempts to censor individual book titles were most prevalent. According to data compiled by the American Library Association, Florida had over 2,500 book titles challenged, while Texas sat around 1,500 titles challenged in 2023. Other states like Wisconsin and Kentucky had upwards of 400 books challenged. Now, the words challenge and ban often get used interchangeably, so let's break down these words. A challenge is an attempt to remove or restrict materials based upon the objections of a person or group. In recent years, more and more well-organized conservative political movements have come together to challenge books about race, history, gender identity, sexuality, and reproductive health. Pressure is put on public institutions like libraries to suppress and remove from public access these books so that no one else has the chance to read or view the material and make up their own minds about it. On the other hand, a ban is the actual removal of those books. According to PEN America's data, there were more than 4,000 instances of book banning across the nation during the first half of the 2023-2024 school year. This is notably more books banned than in the entire 2022-2023 school year. Tim Riley, a journalism professor at Emerson College, spoke to me on the harm done by book bans.
I'm a teacher. I teach journalism, and most teachers and librarians are committed to the mission of promoting civil discourse in a democratic society. What does that mean? That means we're going to be shelving books that involve speech that we disagree with. Simple as that, right? And that's why the First Amendment exists, is to protect speech that some people may find offensive. If you think about it for a minute, we don't have a First Amendment so that people can shut down speech. We have a First Amendment so that people can open up speech that they may find offensive or disagree with. It's really important in a democratic society to have civil disagreements. And I guarantee you at my public library down the street from where I live, there are many, many books whose arguments I disagree with. But as a democratic citizen, I am committed to keeping those books on the shelves in a public space so that we can all explore ideas and make up our own minds. You can't stamp out ideas. You can't kill ideas, right? What do they think these kids don't have access to phones and computers and can't find the same books online? Removing books from a library shelf actually inhibits learning. It prohibits people from pursuing ideas. And some of those ideas you may disagree with. That's good. That means there's learning going on.
Here I have 3 commonly banned books that fall under the classic literature category. Scarlet Letter was banned because of morally scandalous grounds. 1984, banned because of obscenity and supposedly pro-communist passages. And To Kill a Mockingbird, banned because of the depiction of racial themes. Behind me are some of the more modern banned books, with the bottom 3 topping the American Library Association 2023 list of most challenged books. All of this goes to show that challenged and banned books are very much a part of today's society. To add more insight into book bans and censorship happening across the country, I am joined by Joyce McIntosh. She is the Assistant Program Director for the Freedom to Read Foundation, which is a nonprofit legal and educational organization affiliated with the American Library Association. Joyce, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to speak with me.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, in 2023, there were over 4,000 unique book titles targeted for removal from schools and libraries, and about 47% of those were representing experiences and voices of the LGBTQ plus community and BIPOC individuals. So, what do you think is behind the increased censorship of books representing these specific groups?
Quite often, what we're seeing is a very loud minority exhibiting viewpoint discrimination, and they may have some trustees or others who are going along with that. And it's so important for people to remember that our government has set aside libraries for one purpose, that's to access information, and our First Amendment rights are protected in doing that. Um, so it's important to have content for every member of our community, and that includes all content. In fact, in the Library Bill of Rights, which has been around since 1939. This is not a new document. Librarians didn't get the idea in the last few years to collect these materials. It says in there that libraries will collect materials covering all points of view, current and historic. So when librarians take that serious responsibility of curating a collection, they're doing so with the education they have, by looking at reviews, by being aware of their community, and providing something for every person, not just the loud minority.
Now, in terms of libraries specifically, they are often a safe space for those communities to gather. But recently, librarians have come under attack, fearing penalties and even time in prison for some of them in light of these book challenges. What would you say in support of those librarians who are fighting to keep these books on shelves and make these spaces safe for all?
First of all, no librarian or educator should have to shoulder that alone. Um, they aren't doing anything criminal. If anything, they're doing what they must do according to their local government, according to the First Amendment. They must provide that access. We we encourage people to find support though, and to know that they're not alone by reaching out to ALA. If a librarian has their job threatened due to their defense of intellectual freedom or due to discrimination, there's a separate fund. It's not tied to ALA or the Freedom to Read Foundation, called the Merit Fund, and they can apply for a grant to help support them. Um, in some states, the state organization, the State Library Association, is looking at offering insurance. Many other fields have insurance for, say, medical workers or for attorneys, or so that's something that is taking place. I encourage them to seek support from their state association, from the Office for Intellectual Freedom, and from their community. And I encourage people to be aware of uniteagainstbookbans.org. That is an important campaign focused on community members so that they can become advocates. And that advocacy is critical right now.
Now, what can individuals do to fight book censorship? First and foremost, it is important to stay informed of who is trying to challenge or ban the books and why. Get involved in events supporting the freedom to read. This year, Banned Books Week celebrations will take place towards the end of September, and take time to check out and read some banned books. In the words of poet Oscar Wilde, the books that the world calls immoral are the books that show the world its own shame. Thank you for watching this special edition of WEBJ News. I'm Shelby O'Brien. Have a good day.